So with a few years gone by since the release of Avatar: The Way of Water, director James Cameron is about to begin the hype train for Avatar: Fire and Ash, the third film in his record-breaking franchise that started with 2009's original film. That movie still holds the record for being the biggest worldwide box office grosser in history, and its sequel The Way of Water is the number 3 highest grosser too. So the question is, can the new Avatar film ride on the momentum of The Way of Water's success and go even further to set the new record at the worldwide box office? I think there are multiple factors going for it, and following online film fans not believing that the second movie would do all that well, we're coming into the third film with a completely different narrative. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the reasons why I personally believe Avatar: Fire and Ash will become the biggest film of all time at the worldwide box office, despite some filmgoers underestimating it. Before I get into it though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding the Avatar sequels and other sci-fi series such as Denis Villeneuve's Dune, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the reasons why Avatar 3 will become the biggest film of all time. So the upcoming Avatar sequels from director James Cameron are poised to achieve monumental success, much like the 2 films that came before. After the triumph of Titanic in 1997, Cameron dedicated 12 years to the creation of Avatar, employing groundbreaking visual effects and performance capture technology to vividly portray the Navi and the enchanting world of Pandora. The first Avatar movie ultimately became the highest grossing film of all time, raking in $2.9 billion at the box office, after which Cameron invested an additional 13 years in crafting his 4 anticipated sequels. The second film, Avatar: The Way of Water, then made its theatrical debut in December of 2022, and it demonstrated that the success of the first film was not merely a stroke of luck, grossing an impressive $2.32 billion in box office earnings. Following this, the director plans to explore more of Pandora and introduce new Navi tribes in Avatar: Fire and Ash, Avatar 4, and Avatar 5. So the remarkable achievements of the initial 2 films make us speculate about the potential performance of the next 3 installments in this franchise. Although its release was pushed to 2025 due to the Hollywood strikes, I believe Avatar 3 is well positioned to benefit from the success of The Way of Water. While the second film debuted 13 years after the original Avatar's record-breaking run, Avatar 3's release comes just 3 years after the second movie, allowing it to ride a more recent wave of franchise enthusiasm. Moreover, The Way of Water's impressive $2.3 billion in earnings highlight the franchise's ability to succeed even without recent momentum. So with the first 2 films each surpassing the $2 billion mark, you'd think Avatar 3 has a solid chance of becoming the next blockbuster to reach that milestone. Now, while you might say that the original Avatar's $2.9 billion is still a bit out of reach, I do think it could eventually catch that record. And I say this because if The Way of Water can make close to $2.4 billion 13 years after the original, and amongst negativity online towards the original not deserving what it made, then what's not to say Cameron's next film doesn't go the extra mile? There's no more reintroducing main characters or the world of Pandora, as the second film did a lot of that heavy lifting. We now know the general elements of the world, and we're ready to go further with the characters and expand and delve into new storytelling territory. And this is exactly what Cameron is trying to do with Fire and Ash, introducing a villainous Navi clan, other new factions like the Wind Traders, and further complex battles between the Navi and the RDA. So I think a focus on other elements gives Avatar 3 much more excitement than the previous sequel. And with the second film doing as well as it did, it makes me think that the third can hit even bigger heights at the global box office if it does deliver. Speaking of the new story dynamics, this brings me onto that aspect, as director James Cameron has been focusing a lot on that in recent interviews. In particular, the previous 2 films' marketing had a big push when it came to the technology and the evolution of digital motion capture on the big screen. The visual effects and 3D technology were a massive selling point, and we know that they are going to be used again on the next few installments and look just as, if not more impressive. But this time, according to Cameron, the marketing and pull of the Avatar sequels is going to be focused on the turns of the story and the characters. Cameron recently said in an Empire interview, "We could be getting high on our own supply here, and everybody who looks at the new film goes, that's not what I signed up for." But if you're not making brave choices, you're wasting everybody's time and money. That alone is not sufficient to create success, but it's necessary. You've got to break the mold every friggin' time. You can get your blood up in this movie, but what excites me as an artist who recently turned 70 and has kind of done all that stuff is not only the opportunity to get to do it again, but to get to a level of character and intrigue you haven't seen before in an Avatar movie. If the first two films were all about introducing audiences to Pandora, its people, and those eye-popping home environments, the third entry will raise the storytelling stakes. We're just starting to riff on it and twist and turn it. We did the capture and live action photography on the third film as an intermingled production with The Way of Water, and we even did part of movie 4 because our young characters are all going to have a big time jump in that film. Avatar: The Way of Water concluded with Jake and his family aligning themselves with a new Navi tribe as they persist in their struggle against humans intent on exploiting Pandora's resources for their own gain. And Cameron has hinted at significant contrasts between the upcoming film and its predecessors, particularly regarding the traditional portrayal of the planet's inhabitants as inherently good and humans as consistently evil. So this suggests that the Ash clan in Avatar 3 may not be allies of the Metkayina, likely harbouring their own sinister motives. Consequently, this sets the stage for a fresh conflict that could complicate the distinction between good and evil in the whole Avatar storyline. Furthermore, the upcoming film will include the Wind Traders, a faction of nomadic Navi who soar through the skies on massive jellyfish-like beings. So while specific plot details remain under wraps, Cameron's remarks about the film's story being more risky suggest that viewers can expect a series of unexpected twists. This may relate to the expansion of Pandora's universe, as well as the personal journeys of Jake's family. Overall, the direction of Cameron's narrative risks could lead to a more enriching portrayal of Pandora in the film, highlighting aspects of the planet that have yet to be examined. This might involve a deeper exploration of the relationship between the Navi and their environment, as well as a broader understanding of concepts such as Kiri's special bond with the planet. Regardless of how Fire and Ash unfolds its storyline, we'd expect that it would offer a fresh take on the themes presented in the previous two films. Now, I enjoyed The Way of Water, and on certain levels, particularly a technological one, I think it enhanced what we got in movie 1. But from a story standpoint, I do think it could have gone much further. So if Avatar: Fire and Ash can do that and get people to celebrate it primarily because of its storytelling, then I think it's going to have a positive effect for the new film's box office and the final two films that follow it. People will be more excited about the emotional turns and outcome of story points and character decisions, and that gives audiences a reason to be hyped about not just this film, but the two that follow it. And this brings me onto my final point, in that the success of the Avatar franchise will only continue to grow, and that I don't think we should underestimate James Cameron after the continuous success he has had as a filmmaker in the past. The Way of Water followed a similar trend to Avatar 1 in that the first 2 weeks it was out in theatres, it didn't break the box office by any stretch of the imagination. But because of word of mouth and the experience that it was giving moviegoers, from week 3 onwards, the box office went up and up until it was breaking the bank. So the word of mouth clearly affected its run, and that is a very good sign to take into consideration, especially with the long-form success the franchise is having. It's quite funny to me that when keeping this in mind, the one thing critics would say leading into The Way of Water's release was that no one cared about Avatar anymore and that the sequel wouldn't make half of the original. We now know that this wasn't the case, and many people did check it out and watch the film multiple times. So say Avatar 3 does have a similar effect, and does so in part because of its storytelling, this time only a few years after the previous installment, then what's stopping it setting even bigger records and aiming as high, if not higher, than the first film's record total? I think it has a lot of potential to reach those numbers, and I think if it does get close or even beat it, then Avatar 4 and 5 will have a chance of getting close to the $3 billion mark, a feat no film in history has reached before. It's a huge task to try and make audiences care about a new project, especially one that is the third in a big budget franchise. The advances in CGI and the other technological innovations Avatar pushed forward have become the standard for other movie franchises that use heavy digital effects, even though I'd personally argue that they haven't been done better in many instances. But essentially, it does become harder to maintain the interest in an Avatar sequel, so I think the best option is to evolve it in a different way. Cameron's approach to the story on this new installment and flipping the dynamics of the Navi's role seems to be his route into that, and it's going to be exciting to see if he can pull it off and make it the biggest Avatar film to date. It's clear that over the decades in which this filmmaker has been crafting films, he has showcased that he truly cares about what he's making, with an extended filmography to prove it. For someone who waits years to make a movie as stunning as it can be, and then still produce one of the highest box office grossers of all time, multiple times, tells us that this is a director who can continuously bring success. Producing many films that have remained beloved and stood the test of time, whether it be Aliens, Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, or Titanic, he knows how to really create an epic for that time period. Many critics were proved wrong about both Avatar films, and if Fire and Ash can do the same with a stronger story, then going forward, the saga has even more potential to break more records. It's going to be interesting to see if it does, and for me, James Cameron is the type of filmmaker that has proven he can make huge box office hits decades apart and really do something groundbreaking with each feature he puts to screen, whether that's with the technology or with the type of story he's telling. The trailer for Avatar 3 will release soon, and only time will tell if he has pulled it off yet again. I think he will, and I think many people online are underestimating the success that the third film could have, following the heights that were reached with the previous two. But we shall soon see, and I think the response to that first trailer is definitely going to be a big indicator, especially when it comes to Cameron's approach with the story. But that was my video discussing why I think Avatar 3 has the potential to bring in huge record-breaking numbers which follow those that the first two films made. After Avatar 2 getting close to the first film's record, and director James Cameron hinting big things from the story of the next few installments, I think Fire and Ash is poised to get even closer to the box office record or even beat it. I'm going to keep with my prediction that it will top the record, and after the success of the previous two films and the trajectory that the franchise is now headed in, I think many people online are underestimating it. It was a tall order for The Way of Water to make even $2 billion a couple of years ago, and that beat projections out of the water. So I do think the third film can top what the sequel made and reach numbers that are even closer to the original. It all comes down to the story, and like I said, the third movie doesn't have the new technology factor that the other two films had going for it. So if it does have some big story twists and developments, then hopefully this can bring in repeat viewings and longevity with the quality of the final product. Director James Cameron has delivered timeless films over many different decades, and I think we're about to get another with Avatar 3. We'll just have to see, and I'm looking forward to getting a better idea of the new film's story when that first trailer comes out in a few months' time. But let me know down below in the comments section how well you think Avatar Fire and Ash can perform at the worldwide box office, alongside whether you are personally excited for what direction James Cameron will go in. For much more videos and news on James Cameron's Avatar universe, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.